Wrong scene. All right, guys. Welcome to the 21st episode of the Metabreakers Podcast, starring your boy DmoneyGames. The first time on my channel. We're going to be alternating between my channel and the Warshack's channel. But for now, it is on my channel. And welcome, guys. Of course, welcome to the Warshack himself. And then we got DracoCatt over there matching me with the glasses today. These must be new, but I like them. And yeah, it's a fine Sunday morning. I hope everybody's doing well. We have a good show for you today. A lot of juicy topics to discuss. And yeah, welcome aboard. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man.
That's Absolutely. It? That's all you got?
New expansion has been hype. I just got back from vacation. It was really crazy, really nice. Yeah, it's nice to be home, but I'm really enjoying the game we all play. And yeah, life's good.
Yeah, nice. Some exciting news here. I get a new not webcam but camera for the stream. All the parts arrive tomorrow, so that's exciting news from me. Besides that, the expansion's been super hype. Tons of new decks to play. Been trying to keep up. Been streaming a lot. I know DMoney's been streaming a lot as well. That 24-hour. How did that go? How did that 24-hour go?
Yeah, man, I was actually tired when I started the stream. I didn't think I was gonna make it through, but I did just because it was a lot of fun. Had people all throughout coming in saying good morning, saying good night, coming back. It definitely was a lot better than last expansion. Like the first day, there wasn't anything completely broken. I mean, Druid started out dominating, and then it was actually beatable. So that actually made it like a fun expansion day. Like last time, Demon Hunter was just too good, and like it was like basically impossible to beat because it was so strong. But this time, it felt like every deck was really beatable. And there were so many things to discover. Like, there's still so many things to discover. So I had a lot of fun. Yeah, been having fun.
How much
I thought it was pretty. Do we have the meta to put up there?
We do have the meta. Good question. Here it is right here. Kabang.
Beautiful. Honestly, I don't think everyone realized that Paladin was. I mean, okay, some people did realize that Paladin was insane. But it seemed like a lot of the attention on the first few days was revolving around the Druid shenanigans because they were very flashy and insane. And Paladin was just kind of destroying everyone in the background until we kind of like took a step back and we're like, wait, Paladin is crazy good now. And it's hard to even figure out why it's crazy good because they got so much support from the new expansion. You can't be like, oh, it's Devout Pupil. Oh, it's Arrogant Braggart. Oh, it's the fact that they're getting a 4/2 and a True Silver, and they have an early game now with that 1-drop developing card. So it's really hard to pinpoint why that package is so strong because in that Legendary is its own scam now. Like you can throw a Libram of Wisdom on a thing and get a Libram of Hope on turn 4. That's that's nuts.
I think I like that they didn't go like fully into like the Libram kind of archetype with Paladin, but they kind of incorporated the Librams in there because it is really strong with the whole deck. I think if it was all just Librams, it would be just such a boring archetype, but I do like the pure deck. Like it is a lot of fun to play, honestly. It's probably not as fun to play against, of course. But yeah, I actually kind of like that deck. I like that Paladin like has something good. Maybe it's too good. Maybe we just haven't found other decks yet. I think there's, I think it is strong, but I think that we still have some room to see what else we got. Or something else will be taking over.
Yeah, I think with the new cards, it just basically got more well-rounded, right? Because before it was considered more of like, well, it definitely wasn't tier 1 and tier 2, but maybe like low tier 3. And it kind of felt not fast enough. And now it has like this early game package, and it just goes right into the mid game because now you can scam on turn 4, like Draco mentioned with the new legendary. And then it's like by turn 6, 7, 8-ish, it's kind of running out of cards because it doesn't have a ton of card draw. And then you just play the 7 mana 7/7, refill your hand. There's a lot of new paladin cards that are good. Looking at that new 5 mana buff that gives +8/+8, which I think is amazing and super powerful.
Yes.
And in combination with the new 2 mana card, the minion that gets buffed basically by the biggest minion of the board, which is going to be big because you just gave a 5 mana 8/8. So it just made the deck really well rounded. Like it's just good at all parts of the game. Plus it has healing. Plus it has value. So it's just like, where does it fall short? And you have field clear with justice. So it's like, where does the deck fall short?
Yeah, it doesn't really have a glaring weak point. I mean, it's like, yeah, it doesn't have the strongest early game, but the mid game is pretty hard to argue that, like, all of the cards that they can do in the mid game, like to steal the board back and to knock you off, are like really scary. And the late game is good, but it's beatable. So it's like that middle part of the game with the Paladin deck that I feel like lies its true nastiness. You know what I mean? Because it's when they start, getting all the free Librams back and then buffing everything and then shuffling all the primes into their deck and drawing things, and yeah, it's scary. But then at the end, once they're out of cards and all they have is like a Libram of Hope to stabilize, then usually it's a winnable game. But getting to that point is really hard, I find, because they can usually steal the game back and send some damage into you before you get to that. So
Yeah, honestly, I think the reason why the deck is so good is because they have the ability to curve out so well. Using cards like First Day of School to just get those 1-drops to just complete their whole entire like early game curve, and that really sets them pretty far ahead going into the mid game, where then they start getting even more ahead, and then yeah, it's basically when they run out of cards. Yes, they're kind of, that's when it becomes kind of bad, but we've seen some Lightforged Crusaders being added to the list, so they don't really run out of cards, and yeah, it's just a powerful deck. Yeah, do you want to get into what everybody's been playing? What are our favorite week 1 decks?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can go first.
Do it.
I've only played like one deck because I've been trying to make it work this entire time since the expansion came out, and I just want to make a Soul Shard Demon Hunter list that has actual threats in it. Like a lot of times the people that have been building the deck have been either running it very strictly aggressively with like the Battle Fiends into the Umber Wings into the Satyr Overseers, and then they don't even like sometimes run the 7-drop. That's like the big finisher for the Soul Shards. And I don't really have a lot of interest in playing the old Demon Hunter list with Soul Shards, and that's what that looks like to me. So I've been trying to go like all in on it, where it's where you put answers in there and you have board clears, but you also have like multiple lines that you can choose to like what you're going to commit to, whether it's like, am I going to heal out of range? Am I going to push this guy out and clear it off early? I want to build the flexibility of having a proactive and reactive Soul Shard deck, and that's what I've been really committing to figuring out.
So like a hybrid. That sounds like a best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think that there's a better. Yeah, I think that might truly be the best way to play with the Soul Shards, because I feel like when I don't know, the elongated beatdown way where you run like all of the clears and everything, I feel like that just. I feel like it's better now, but it doesn't feel as fun to play when you can have things like lapidaries in the deck to like get the 5 mana 5/5, deal 5 damage, and then you can what is the other thing they're not usually running? Yeah, people don't usually run philosophies in the other decks and like early game minions and things like those too. So I like having the ability to like weave in Battle Fiends into turns and things like that, just to make people have to remove something.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to play with the old cards. Like you wanna incorporate new stuff into your deck, and the Soul Fragments are pretty fun. And like if you can utilize it with that 5/5, I think it can be strong too. So
it feels entirely new, and
yeah,
I'm very happy.
That's good.
So
Yeah, what do you
So
like in
I've been
shack
working on.
sauce?
Yeah, I got 2 pretty spicy ones.
Wait,
So
hold
this
on.
one will make
Sorry,
me
your
money.
your mic is actually a little robotic right now.
All right, how's that?
Still alienated.
What about you, Dan? What's been your favorite deck while Rob is fixing his microphone?
I like how it's like so hard to call me Dan.
How's that?
No, yeah, my favorite decks right now have been, you guessed it, Highlander Mage. Highlander Mage is
Okay.
actually, we see Mage at the bottom of the meta here, but I still like it a lot, and I still am refining the list a little bit, but it feels pretty strong. It beats almost everything. It struggles a little with aggro, but I put in a Bone Wraith to help it out, and it's been doing well against that. But yeah, I've been loving Highlander Mage still. It's changed up a bit, so I like it. I like playing with some new cards like Sphere, which a lot of people don't play with. And
What else is new in it other than Sphere? I know you're probably about to go into that, but
it's more dragon centric, so I run Frizz in there as well.
okay.
You're
Do you
testing
run
me
the
here.
worm,
Hold on.
like evasive worm and stuff?
I don't run Evasive Worm. I do run. I was running some newer dragons as well, but then I cut them. I had to cut them just because aggro was dominating a little bit.
Just being
But I
aggressive.
mean, I run like new spells stuff. Not too many new cards, but still a decent amount.
Combustion doing work.
Combustion's really great. Yes. I don't know. The deck just like it feels different. Like I changed it up enough with like new stuff that it just feels pretty fresh. And then I've also been liking Highlander Priest a lot. Haven't really found the best list for it, but the deck is really fun. Still really trying to learn how to use Mind Render Lucia. The card is like actually like really difficult to use. You have to time it like perfectly, and you're really most of the time just guessing when the right time is to play it. Like when you'll be able to, when your opponent's gonna have low cost cards for you to actually just use up. So it's pretty interesting. I know a lot of people
have
say
the worst stats. Because
says-
like
yeah.
people play it as a whole Mary, just like they did with like Myra's Unstable Element and stuff. So like before people just give up losing, they're like, let me look at my opponent's hand. So it's gonna have like an insanely low played win rate and like everything.
That's all
in
thanks
your
to
deck.
me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you want to see your opponent's hand if you already accepted that you died right before you lose? Like you could
Sure,
literally
yeah.
see all their cards, you know? So that's
I
what
mean, that's
people are-
not when I use it.
sure.
But when I've used it like most of the times that I use it, it ends up screwing me over, and I don't get really like anything out of it. So it's actually like a very skill intensive card, and a lot of people say like it's broken and everything, but I mean I still don't even know how to use it really.
Most of the times it's been used against me. I wonder why my opponent didn't see the combination of their cards that I was going to play. Like I'm like, there's no way
It's
you want me to
hard.
do this. You know?
Yeah. Like especially playing Priest where you have a lot of cards in your hand typically. Like Mind Render Lucio is just best when like you don't have cards in your hand, and it's hard to get to that point. And then you have to think about like what card, like you have to really set it up. It's kind of like setting up like I guess Outcast for Demon Hunter maybe. Like you really have to like make plays in advance, and you have to play cards like looking forward to when you're going to a Lucia, like what cards you don't want your opponent to have and stuff. So it's actually pretty difficult.
Do you think it could be an?
Say again?
Do you think it could be an aggro card?
Now your
Priest
mic
is
is
not
really
like
quiet. It's fixed with the alien thing, but it's really quiet.
Sounds better.
I mean,
Now
I
it
turned
does.
off all of my effects. Discord doesn't like running virtual audio cable through Adobe Audition. It does not like that.
Keep in mind, guys, this is the first time it's on my channel, podcast.
We have a little bit of kinks to work out, guys. So sorry about that.
A little kinky. But yeah, I have you up to 200%. I can't really go
Alright.
higher,
Okay.
but it's still a little low.
All right, I can try to go back. Sorry, guys. Right here. Check it out.
Uh-oh.
How we doing? Am I robot-y?
Yes.
Yeah, it's robot.
Uh, little technical difficulties, guys. 1 second.
You could turn down your mic volume.
Yeah,
and me.
yeah.
You could give it an overall boost.
Yeah. Exactly.
Troubleshooting, guys. It's fun. What were we talking about? Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, the new card being an maybe an aggro or tempo priest, so you'd play like a very aggressively. You know, you have a couple poopy cards in your hand, and then you'd swap with your opponent and try to snag some of their good stuff, and you'd basically give them like 1 or 2 cards.
Yeah.
But
That it is good in that kind of deck. I tried out like a tempo priest and I just hated it, honestly, playing it. Kind of felt like combo priest a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I just like priest in general though right now, and I want to make it work. I know a few people are making it work. Highlander priest seems to be doing pretty well. But yeah,
I will say
then
that Alicia doesn't seem good when people played it against me. Like it's never probably helped out my opponents like at any time. But I've only played one deck, so
well, I think it's really just for the combos against combo decks, right? So if that mage deck gets really popular or Malagos Druid gets really popular, as long as you mess up that combo, you don't really care what they play because they haven't really done anything all game. So it's really, I think that card is just a combo killer, and it's really determined on like how the meta plays out, right? Because if like that mage deck is number 1, which I'm sure we'll talk about, you know, that card's gonna, it's like priest shut it down. But
yeah,
if
I mean
it's aggro, which we're seeing now, the card obviously is good.
and yeah, that and also people still trying to get used to it, of course, like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess the last deck that I've been enjoying was pure Libram Paladin, but everybody's playing it, so nothing special.
All right.
What about you, Shaq?
Now that my mic is working and you can hear these wonderful decks in perfect audio quality, we've got what would make D-Money very proud. We have a Control Quest Shaman. I am currently 8-4. We're still modifying it, but it did pretty well. And some of the new sort of combos that are really cool is the Diligent Note Taker with Lightning Bloom, because you can play him and then Lightning Bloom, get another Lightning Bloom, and then do another Lightning Bloom, which is a pretty cool combo into a very explosive early game battle cry turn to complete your quest exceeding fast, so you can start hero powering into draw. Another thing you can do with the deck is, because you're not guaranteed coin, when you complete your quest, you're able to play Hero Power Lightning Bloom Dragon Queen, and it's being able to get the 4 dragons is a lot more consistent. Tidal Wave is really, really good. And on top of that, you have the new Firehard Instructor with the hero power is literally you just fill your hand up with cards. It's really, really good. And so the whole deck, while it does like inherently not have a lot of power at first, the capability of being able to make your hand just filled with cards and spells, hero power once it's Zephyrus's being able to proc that twice is always good. And surprisingly, the Rune Dagger with the new Frost Whisper is a nice deal 2 damage to everything on the board if you like the lowest, and it can be bumped up from there, which is really
Control Shaman did get a lot of new tools. That's actually interesting to point out, because I imagine Ross is pretty crazy with that kind of stuff. And the dagger probably helps with like dealing with early targets too, because that was always kind of like a weakness that Shaman had, right? Was like you can't really deal with a whole bunch of little minions as well unless you're gonna Lightning Storm and then ruin your entire next turn. So yeah, that sounds like a huge improvement.
No, yeah, the deck felt really nice. It felt like every turn you had something cool to do. And granted, like it may not be on the power level as, let's say, like Druid or Libram Paladin. Like I still feel like it has some good potential. And another one that I was playing that did very, very well after I refined it a little bit was basically just like a control weapon warrior. So originally, what this deck was going to be was just all spells and only weapons, no minions. And then it turned into only having minions that do things with your weapon, just so you could have some synergies there. Because I wanted to play the new Doctor, the warrior legendary that when it attacks you gives your weapon +1/+1, and then Steel Dancer.
Yeah, the dancers.
Yeah. So now the deck is turned into basically the only minions are Steel Dancers, Lord Baroff, and the Doctor. Those are it. And then you get minions from the Athletic Studies. And then the rest of the deck is just weapons. So we have, like, of course, Wrench Calibers, Arcane Reapers. We've got the Livewire Lance, the Scythe, some upgrades in there. And right when I was playing against a lot of, like, control and freeze decks, and then just being able to send in like a 7 attack weapon every turn forever was pretty good. So
that's elongated beatdown.
So do you run the quest in that? Is that what you're doing as well?
No, so I originally didn't want to do the quest, just I wanted to see if I could get the weapon warrior first, and then I was going to transition this weapon warrior into a control weapon warrior, and that's next. So in that build, I include like Lord Baroff, the armored goons, and I'm going to try to fit in some trouble, the double trouble people, and then after that, I was going to transition that deck into a control weapon quest deck. So then I would get all of the spectrum.
Right.
Have you played around with Big Warrior at all?
Yes, I actually hit Legend with 100% win rate with the Big Warrior deck I played. I didn't lose a
It's
single
fun
game
to watch,
to Legend.
man.
Nice.
I enjoyed that part of your journey because I was just sitting at the beach watching you play when the cards came out, and I was like, man, he's killing it. This is a brand new deck, and it just went all the way there.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
And then from Legend, our overall win rate with the Big Warrior was 82% over like 22 games or something like that. It was pretty nice.
Deck's really fun too. I've been having fun with that recently.
No, yeah, Razor Gore, Dimensional Ripper, Razor Gore. I've never seen people concede so fast.
Rattlegore?
Right, yeah,
Rattle
Rattlegore.
Gore.
I keep saying Razor Gore. I don't know why. Razor Gore is
I-
a Blackwing Lair boss.
I feel like I gotta play it. I opened the
Dude.
golden Rattlegore, and I haven't
Oof.
played it yet.
Rattlegore is insane. Yeah, like if they just don't, if they're a class that doesn't have silence, it's just the game is like actually over. There's like no way.
You can't deal with it.
Remember when they first revealed it, and I said on the podcast that like you can't print this card and not print like neutral silences. Like this card would just be insane, and they didn't print any neutral silences. So, yeah, it's getting its time to shine, and I don't want to say I told you so, but I mean, watch the past podcasts, and I told you so.
The only problem is the like how volatile like the warrior versus warrior mirror is. Not that I played it a ton, but basically the first warrior to make a Rattlegore wins. Like it
I haven't played the mirror yet. Yeah, doesn't sound like fun.
No, it's literally you're both just playing Dimensional Rippers, and your the 7-mana spell, and whoever gets the gore first just wins. It's so sad because there's no way you can clear it. But
I love it.
I think that's actually it for like the spiciest decks I had. I know a lot of people are trying to get Demon Hunter to work, so I guess I could talk. There's a Hyperglide Demon Hunter, and it was very budget. So for you ballers on a budget out there that liked Demon Hunter, I had some success with a Hyperglide Demon Hunter deck. It caps out at Glide at 4 mana. The rest of the deck is below that. And that actually went on like I think a 70% rate over 25 games.
You can't have a bad mulligan because the entire deck is built with good mulligan cards.
No, yeah, and the new mana feeder, the Panther, the 2-mana 2/3. If you've hero power, draw a card. With the Demon Hunter hero power, I mean, your turn 3 is hero power, draw a card, summon a 2/3. It's like, hello, how you doing?
It fits into even the control variants because that card is like pretty much the best thing to do on turn 3. It's and like even like aggressive lists and like controlling ones, I would argue that sometimes it feels better than playing like a Satyr Overseer. Oh, like I guess it always feels better than Satyr Overseer because you don't need to attack with it as well. Well, it's a mana behind with that, but I can't. The other option I was usually running was Scoundrels in that spot to play on turn 3, and it's kind of the same, right? But you get to ping with it, which really matters in early tempo.
Yeah, it's a little faster.
Yeah. And it draws you cards out of your own deck instead of like allowing you to discover one, which is always going to be a more consistent benefit of drawing a card out of your list than finding a potentially good one, even though, the mystery choice option does sometimes come in handy.
Yeah, a lot of exciting decks, and I mean, we only talked about a few. There's actually like somebody told me the other day that like somebody theory crafted like 50 decks or something crazy like that because there's so many different archetypes right now. I mean, we still have so much to see, and yeah, I think I want to move on to there was a leakage today in the Hearthstone community.
Leaky faucet.
The Hearthstone is turning into a battle royale game now, but we are. It's possible that we might be getting a battle pass. Do I have a picture of this? I don't.
Well, this is so okay.
Yeah,
oh
we
my
can just
god,
talk about it. Yeah.
This segment is so meta because the article about it is from another podcast. So right now we're a podcast covering a podcast. If you think about it, and the other word of meta that's what it is, and this is the meta segment. So this is the most meta breaking I've ever really imagined. Holy shit. Anyway, yeah, the types of awards that it discussed was like latest expansion packs, prior expansion packs, upgradable hero skins, like secondary Jaina skins, an experience boost. I guess that's for like unlocking like the golden cards, arena tickets, yeah, individual random cards, a choice of hero skins, an alternative art for the coin, and an expansion card back, and some of that stuff sounds really cool actually. I was talking about this stuff with D-Money ahead of time, and we were kind of just talking about how we generally just get excited about more cosmetics because we play the game so much that like the more we can make the characters feel like they're our thing, that kind of stuff is exciting. And the entire concept of having multiple alternative coins and secondary hero classes and stuff and skins and stuff sounds really exciting. I do not really know the mathematics on if it's a good value versus the way the questing system is now in comparison, though. It's hard to imagine, though.
Yeah, the quest system they have now, I don't think it's a bad one, but it hasn't really been changed, right? Like a lot of the games that are coming out now, looking at, I know D-Money has experience Legends of Runeterra, like you have a lot of incentive to just play because you get like all kinds of rewards and things that pop up on your screen, regardless of what actually they mean or if they do anything. It just feels good to have shit pop up on your screen and be like, you did good today. You won a game. You know what? You get sparkling dust. It may not do anything, but you're sure as hell happy to have some of that sparkling dust. Hearthstone needs some sparkling dust.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like that bonus incentive to play the game. And that's what this does for you. So like the only people that this hurts is people that don't play that consistently. And I mean, that's counterintuitive to like why they would do it, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I love cosmetics like Draco said. Like I honestly play games for like the aesthetics mostly. That's what I care about a lot. So yeah, I'd be really excited for this, and of course I'd buy the battle pass. I mean, you still get like decent things for not buying it. The free version, you just get a lot of gold, you get packs and stuff, so it's still nice. But
I like how it's 70 gold and not 100. Like they couldn't do 100. They couldn't just give you a free pack, right? They had to give you 70, so you can't get a pack.
Yeah,
but
they must have done the math on that. Yeah.
You mentioned aesthetics, and that's like a lot. Like, if you think about Fortnite and you think about League, the games are free, right? And how do they make all their money? Through people buying different appearances. And so if there's literally like these biggest game companies that are raking in millions, right, off of a free game, but they're just selling different appearances that look cool, Hearthstone is like, there's obviously money to be made there. People want it, so I deliver it. If there was more hero portraits, everybody would be down for that. If there was different looks for coins, or even some alternate versions of like the classic legendary art, like a different version of like Archmage Antonidas, a different version of Jiraxis, some of the core parts, you know what I mean? I am pretty sure no one would vote against. So
yeah. And just a reminder to the people out there who think like, this is easy to do in Fortnite. That we can make skins. Why can't Hearthstone make heroes? An easy thing to remember about like the development side of these hero portraits and how much work goes into them is a simple reminder of how many different languages Hearthstone is, right? So in order to make a new hero, I think there's like over like 50 different languages Hearthstone's in, or 60. So they have to do every single one of those voice lines in that language, record that into a microphone, find the person to do that, wrap all that stuff in, and then do all the animation stuff too. So
See,
yeah.
I mean,
I was
Fortnite
saying
has a bunch
yes.
of dances. They have to change each skin to be able to do that dance.
Well, that's actually way easier though. I mean, I know you're making a joke, because like rigging is like you just make like a character model dance, and then you just attach like the model to the rigged dance, and it always works. So, in theory, they're just
I
kind of
don't know.
doing
You're
it the
speaking
simple
logic,
3D
man.
animation way.
Well, this is a really interesting thing that could come to Hearthstone. It's not official. It's just a leaked thing, but I mean, typically the leaks seem to be pretty on point when it comes to Hearthstone. Um, so I mean, I think it would be cool. It looks like it seems like all three of us are on board with it. Um, and yeah, I mean, just anything new to Hearthstone is a good thing typically. So just a little bit of exciting news here, but we do want to talk about some cards here because
Let's do it.
there's been a lot of talks about people wanting nerfs for specific cards, and we pulled up a few cards that are a little controversial right now and maybe too strong. But honestly, in my opinion, there's a lot of I feel like every single class has their own strong point and strong cards that are like a little too good. But yeah, we could discuss what we got here. The first card we have is Guardian Animals.
Yeah, so
So
this fits in like all of the good Druid decks right now. You run this in the new Malygos one, right? As well, just for the
Hmm.
draw off the
Yeah.
dudes.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
this is the meat of the new Druid.
yeah. So I mean, the main thing, of course, is that the minions that you get from this have Rush, which allows your 5/4 tiger guy to draw you some extra cards, and you can get this out super early with lightning blooms and innervates and stuff of that nature. So people say that this is too good. um I mean, there's honestly like there's you could say the lightning bloom is too good as well. I don't know if that's one that we're talking about here. I don't think so, but I mean, lightning bloom kind of enables this to get out early, so you can kind of go either way with it, in my opinion. I think this card is strong though.
Yeah, there's like I agree with that, and it's hard to figure out what the problem is with why Druid feels bad to play against because a lot of their cards work so well together. You know, like so it's hard to say like we should nerf Guardian Animals, we should nerf Lightning Bloom, we should like in reality this soon into an expansion, it's not really it doesn't really make sense as a person who loves the game to cry about like nerfing things now because it's honestly not that bad. Like we don't know where the meta is going to be. And just because this class has some uber nuts, it doesn't mean that that's the most powerful thing in the game and that we need to just shoot this card right now. Because it's beatable. It's strong, but it's cool. Um, I was telling my Discord, and we were talking about what would be nerfed if we were going to hit this package, and I was suggesting that the tiger that comes out of this thing that draws 2 cards when it attacks should draw like 1 card, instead of 2 every time it attacks. I mean, and then you could keep the rush on it and everything as well. So like getting one of those things out there doesn't just start cycling through your entire deck every single time, every turn.
Yeah,
But
I would have to agree with that. 2 cards seems like a lot. I mean, when you see this card, it's not inherently like super powerful. I mean, summoning 2 5 drops, yes, it's good, but the thing that makes this card powerful is the fact that they're not playing it on turn 7. They're playing this card on turn 5, 4, sometimes 3, right? So it's just like when they're playing this card so early in the game, you have no answer to these minions, and they're going to get at least 2 attacks off the tiger, which is 4-card draw, which is rated at anywhere between 6 to 7 mana. So, I mean, it's just a lot to deal with early on. And then you look at Guardian Animals, you're like, all right, what could we do with this card to, like, stop that from happening? And the first thing people would recommend is, like, take away the rush. Do we only give 1 minion rush? Do we give 0 rush? Do we make it 8 mana? Do we make it summon 4-cost beasts instead of 5 so they can't get the tiger anymore? Is the tiger the problem? So there's just a lot of factors that go into, like, where exactly is this problem stemming from? Because if you, like, eliminate a bunch of parts but you don't get rid of the problem, the whole cheating is going to exist. The whole feel bad because my summon 30/30 in stats on the board by turn 8, while I'm 5 bad.
Yeah.
I think it's a little too early to nerf anything,
Yeah.
but definitely something to, like.
Yeah, I mean, I think like people want Lightning Bloom nerfed, but then it's also like, how do you really nerf a card like that? Because the overload doesn't matter. It's just basically, and you can't really change it to less mana, or else it's just innervate. So it's you can't really change that card. I think it has to be something with this.
You could change
with
it.
the
You
Panther.
could give it overload 3.
But the overload doesn't matter because you're just getting it all on that turn, right? You really don't
Overload
care
10.
about next turn too much.
So you're saying that you don't think they'll do a nerf because you don't think the nerf would matter?
I don't think so.
That's the kind of
Lightning
nerfs they
Bloom.
like to do. The ones that are so subtle that you don't even know if it's going to make a difference.
Hex.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you get 3 overload now, so it's a little
Yeah,
bit
I mean they
weaker.
could. I'm sure they'd have to fix. I'm sure they'd have to do something to this card as well if they were gonna do that. But, I mean, then if you do touch these cards, then you might have to touch some of the other cards we got here. Like, let's bring up the next card. We got the Braggart here. A lot of people have been complaining about, as we saw Paladin with the top win rate across the meta.
I think that Devolve Missiles is a fantastic card against this. Silence is good, and also I've been really considering the Demon Hunter 3-mana card, the 2/3. How bad would it be to play that and then swing into this guy, and this guy dies and that card lives? So, as powerful as this guy is, I do see ways to deal with him. But paying 2 mana for him is pretty ridiculous. Actually, like,
It's really cheap for what it
Yeah.
does, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I just watched someone in a qualifier that was playing. Their opponent used that commencement thing as a big warrior, and they got a Deathwing out, 12/12 taunt Deathwing, right? And then the Paladin, on the other hand, just played 1 Braggart, and then it turned into a 12/12. I was like, oh man, that's so not really cool. You just got a 2-mana 12/12. That's a little bit ridiculous.
I mean, if anything, I guess I'd have to change just the cost. I mean, they may make this 3 mana and just increase everything by 1. But yeah, this is another card that's just like too strong. But once again,
Maybe,
like
yeah.
every class has that kind of thing, it seems. So I don't really have too much of a big issue with it. I know Warshack was saying you could silence it and stuff, but I feel like
gave
a
it a
lot of
weakness.
classes just don't have access to silence pretty easily. So
yeah.
without having to run a shit card like Owl.
I hate the card. I can't condone ever deck. Like,
Wait,
I
playing Pure Pally? Or
No,
No,
just
he's saying putting Owl in
in
his deck.
general. In general, any deck. I just can't play Owl. I can't play the little hootie.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just so bad.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, this card, it's hard to think about, like, even if it's fair to like nerf it to like 3 though, because it kind of was built to have a glaring weakness itself, because it's a 2-mana 1/1 that's entire relevance is built in its Battlecry effect. So if you can silence it, you can like, and then normal removal for stats just all are just as efficient as normal on a single target here. So yeah, it's like you can silence it or you can just hard remove it. And there's a lot of things you can do to deal with this. And it's kind of vulnerable to a lot of cards. But then again, when your opponent doesn't have one of those cards to answer it and they get a 2-mana 12/12 or something, that's a little bit bullshit too. So
are we going to buff Owl?
No.
Because then everybody just runs silence, right? It'll turn into the whole, like, what used to be Big Game Hunter prior to nerf, right? What was Big Game Hunter? 3 mana. You just play
Yeah.
BGH in any deck. There was no downside. It was a 3 mana 4/2 worst case, which is still not terrible. In best case, you just have a huge swing. And then
Give Al a defense stat. Make it a 2/2.
Okay, that doesn't really help, but
There
maybe.
you go. Fucked.
Yeah, so I mean, this is another card, and then we also have Voracious Reader here. And yeah, this card's been played in, of course, a lot of aggressive decks. You just dump your hand, and then you get 3 new cards at the end. That's pretty insane for 2 mana. It's like a Jeeves on steroids. And
I dislike this card the most out of like every card in the whole set. This is the one card that I don't like, and I'm the aggro player. I'm just saying. I don't
like
think. I don't
'Cause
like
it's
it
too good?
because it makes every class able to have this kind of like really like nonsensical swarmy like allows all those decks where you make it all full of mulligan cards work. Like where you can't have a bad hand and you can't draw bad because your whole deck is just 1/2 curves, and then you just put this thing in there and then like you get all your cards and then you just play them. I don't know. I feel like it makes a game type that required some planning, some good deck building to be even more simplistic on the deck building concept now. Like you just run cheap cards with that and it works most
well,
times.
she promotes playing inefficient. Like, for example, you'd never like Cold Blood without combo, a Vis Face turn 3. You know what I mean? You want to dump your hand. And any way to dump your hand to get more cards to do more damage is the right play with your deck, right? So even if you're playing super inefficiently and not using your cards correctly, she rewards that by just giving more cards. And her being a neutral, you can play her in any deck. You know, I would have maybe liked to see her being a mage card because it could go in like a bow mage, and that might be kind of cool. But the fact that you can just play her in Zoo, you play her in Demon Hunter, you play her in whatever, right? And it promotes throw up on board, you draw hand. And for 2 mana, that's too cheap. You need to.
yeah, I mean, even if you get just 1 draw off of it, it's still decent.
I would like her to have a mana cost that doesn't work with what she does. That would be awesome. You know, like she's 4. Then you can't like. Then if you draw it at the wrong time, you're like it's hard to figure out how to use. You know, I don't know. You could still play it for 4 mana, but I mean even 3 mana would be better. 3 mana 1/3, like draw 3 cards at the end of your turn potentially, because you can still
That's what
flood
I'm saying.
everything, but it's harder to just make it so fast because if she costs 3, she is not good value in tempo. And
yeah, I mean, yeah. So this is allowing like an aggro face rogue to take over quite a bit recently, which is super unfun to play against. It's essentially just face hunter but for rogue, and they just dump all of their cards and then they play Voracious Reader, or they also play the card that we have here, Secret Passage, which is some would say it is too good, and those
This card is
people
nuts, dude.
would be correct. Remember when I said every class has some overpowered shit? Yeah, this is it. For Rogue, it's even if you're not playing aggro, it's still just a good card. But like especially in an aggro list, of course, when you can just play a bunch of stuff for even free sometimes with like preparations and backstabs. This card is a bit too good, and yeah, it just like Draco was saying before, it just allows you to be like kind of like lazy with your deck building. I mean, sure you only want to run like the best cards and like find like the best combination, but it's just like so easy. Just put in all like the really cheap stuff and then just play all of it, and then you win the game. It's like there's no. Sure, there's thinking a bit like, do I want to attack the face or do I want to actually trade into a minion for once in my whole entire life? But it's just mostly so simple, and it kind of takes away from the fun of Hearthstone to me.
So, I played a lot of this card yesterday because I was doing my first round of budget decks, and this aggro rogue deck falls under what I can budget. Basically, the entire deck has legendaries, and it runs 2 epic cards. And as simple as it may seem, like on the like playing against it, there's quite a few like intricacies to Secret Passage and like when to play this card, but there's no doubt that this is a super powerful card, but it is a little bit harder than I expected it to be. I don't know if you'll give it a shot, D-Money, but it played pretty fun. It was a pretty fun deck, and it allows budget players, you know what I mean? Like it allows budget players to like kind of have a good, possibly tier 2, maybe even tier 1 deck, and that's healthy for a game. But I think this card, yeah, it's good. There's no doubt about that.
I don't necessarily think like this card needs to be like touched or anything. I will say my favorite thing about this card, like I don't dislike this card like I dislike Voracious Reader.
Yeah.
Because this is a rogue card, and it enables that kind of package for rogue to be better, and that's fine to me. I mean, the drawing 5 thing might be a little bit too many cards to say justify as saying this isn't incredibly powerful, because it is. I do want to say that my favorite thing about this card though is a lot of times when you're playing Hearthstone, you kind of forget that you're playing a card game because you think you're playing a video game. And this with the animation where it like takes your hand, puts it to the side, and pulls all the cards out of your deck, then takes the hand from the side and puts it back. It makes me so happy because it makes me feel like I'm playing a card game again. Or it reminds me that I'm playing a card game. Just from seeing all of the animations, the cards go to the side, come out of the deck, back into the deck, shift the hands back and stuff. It's just, it's wonderful to watch. I don't know. Sorry. I like it.
No, yeah, I agree. It's really cool. The first time I saw the animation, I'm like, wait, did they just open up a portal? Oh my gosh, look at the little cards go. So, I mean, I still lost. I got my ass kicked. But the animation, you're exactly right.
It feels wonderful to watch and play. And
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, if Blizzard wants to stay consistent with their nerfs and everything, then they can make this 4 cards. They could change the other one to +1 mana. They can make the other thing just like +1 mana as well. Just like minor changes to these cards if they want, but yeah, it's just annoying when something it's annoying when something's good, but it's annoying when something makes you feel like your opponent doesn't really need as much skill to win the game. And that's how it feels to play against this in like an aggro rogue for me. It's similar to like Face Hunter. You still definitely need to. There's decisions that you need to make, and you have to play it correctly. But it just feels a lot more simple.
Skill to aggro rogue.
Definitely.
For sure. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's the easiest deck to play. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near as hard as Highlander Mage, but I agree with what you're saying too. Yeah. I would say that kind of aggressive package is probably harder than like Ultra Glide Demon Hunter things. Like with like the Voracious Readers and stuff, because the Secret Passage requires another tier of like hand. I mean, the Outcast concept is important, but when your whole deck has like 1 and 2 cost cards, it's not that hard to change your hand around, especially when you're just dumping them all. But like the aggro rogue, it does have these challenging questions where you have to decide like, am I going to invest into this now when this is more powerful on the next turn? But then I have to have like a semi-dead turn right now and not play these cards. A lot of times when I was playing aggro rogue, I found that it did require a solid amount of planning ahead, because if you have a dead turn as aggro rogue, you're probably not going to get there, right?
No, yeah.
So if you have like 1 3-cost card in your hand and a Secret Passage on like turn 5, and then those decisions become really kind of hard, but you might think like, okay, I kind of need to play this 3-cost minion, and then you like draw into like all Sinister Strikes and no minions and like a backstab or something on an empty board, and you kind of waste all of that card advantage that you instantaneously got for something that you couldn't use that turn, and then sometimes that'll just make you lose. And it's not really like an interactable lose either from that, just because if you run out of gas, then you just die.
Something.
Yeah.
What? Warshack.
I was gonna say, yeah, something that like I didn't know at first when I played the card was you get to keep like if a card generates a card, like you get to keep that.
Yep.
And I didn't know that's how it functioned at first. So if you get the 0 mana draw 2 out of your deck, because of course you're gonna have a weapon with 5 attack, you just get to keep all of the draw that you got and all of the value. Like if you have cards that generate card, or if you run cat or the wand thief. And I thought it just shuffles the hand back, but it only shuffles the cards that it got. If those cards generated stuff for you, you get to keep all that plus the cards you originally had in your hand. So
It's pretty cool.
no, yeah, this cards.
Yeah. It is good. All those cards are good. A little too good. And there's definitely some more cards out there that can be abused in the right circumstances. So we'll have to see what happens with in the future, in the near future. There could be some nerfs. There could not be some nerfs. I don't know. I feel like Hearthstone's just waiting to see what else is happening here. Maybe there's some other. I still think we have a lot of decks to still
Explore.
explore, and I think you can expect something from Blizzard in like a week or so. But don't quote me.
I'm thinking like something like.
Yeah. And I think that's all the topics we have, and we could get into the Q&A. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right,
Hi.
guys. So I don't have the Q&A screen, so I made this on Paint here real quick.
I love it.
No, this is good. This is quality.
Thank you. So if you guys have any questions, we will answer them. All you have to do is type them into chat, and we'll answer as many as we can. We are getting close to the hour mark right now, so we got about 5 minutes or so to answer some questions you guys may have about anything Hearthstone related, or I guess maybe not Hearthstone related too. But
Whatever you want, guys.
do your thing.
It makes me happy that you start your queues at the top. You go around. I've seen people start their queues at the bottom, and it freaks
Wait, what?
What do you mean?
in art. In the art, the way you made your
Oh.
queue, you would have had to start at the top leftish and then go
Yes.
down and circle in. By the way, it's drawn, but like some people start their queues at the bottom, and those people can't.
I was thinking you were talking about the other queues, and I was like, what are we
Oh, no.
queuing?
Yeah, exactly.
And-
Yeah. Wait. So they started with the dash, or
They start it at the bottom, so like right where your mouse is, they'll like start at the bottom, and then they'll like start it.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
they draw the little tiblet, and then they put a circle through it.
Yeah,
Wow, that's fucked up.
I know, right? Like, how could you trust someone who
Yeah.
does that?
I don't know if I could be friends with anyone who draws a queue like that.
Yeah, I mean, my handwriting isn't really that great anyway, so maybe they are doing it the proper way. I don't know. Everybody has their own way. Some people do some crazy stuff with the alphabet, man.
Sorry, that's what.
Oh,
I
that's-
saw your queue.
Good observation.
There's a pretty good question right here. Do you think some of the cards being dual class makes it more difficult for them to be nerfed?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
twice as hard.
I would that as a design option for them. It was a very big risk because if a card is performing exceptionally well in one class and not in the other, then you have to kind of hurt the archetype even more in the other class to balance it from the the primary offender. Which I can imagine is something that Blizzard doesn't really want to have to go through, but they do have a balanced team, so this is someone's job. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully
How
they're
many
good
people
at
are
it.
on that? How many people are on the balance team? Is there actually do we actually know how many people are working on each segment of the game? Is that open?
I don't know. I don't know if it's open information.
I feel like that'd be very interesting to
I
know
bet
how
it
they
fluctuates. You know what I mean? Unless they have like a union, they don't have a union. It fluctuates. Like, you know what I mean? Like they got to be like, okay, we need like 9 on final design, 4 on early design, 3 technician design, and 5 on sound. And then they
Yeah.
lose a guy on sound and hire a person for initial design. And then they're like, oh, these 3 do it good enough. We'll give this guy a little bit more money since he stepped up, because I feel like that's probably more likely the scenario.
maybe. I feel like whatever the numbers are, it's less than what we expect.
I kind of agree with that.
Whenever I envision,
yeah.
What cards do you think were most over-evaluated during spoiler season?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of them were, but like I said 20,000 times this podcast, like there's still so much to be discovered. So, it may seem over-evaluated right now, but it could still come to fruition as being like a good card. But I feel like a lot of the legendaries were overhyped, I guess. Yeah.
Kel'Thuzad.
I think a real card that was really overhyped. Obviously, I have the Demon Hunter bias here. Was both Kreen and Glide. Because everyone thought when Ace Hunter Kreen came out that the whole world was gonna burn. You know,
I mean, it's the same thing. It's kind of the same thing with Kane, right?
Right.
Like everybody thought, like even though Kane got nerfed, like he wasn't really like insanely good. Like it wasn't like completely game changing. It did change it a bit, but like it's just still a good card. But it wasn't like I don't think it was as powerful as people thought it was going to be either.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna. Everyone thought it was gonna break the game.
Yeah,
right. That is like, and there's no way. There was no way you can say Kane, Kreen, or Glide came close to breaking the game.
Yet.
Yes, I would say that Survival of the Fittest card got closer to breaking the game, and it's not even that great. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can take like one more question or so, and then we can wrap it up.
Also, maybe the card that we were talking about earlier swaps hand. A lot of crazy.
Can't really hear you, but a little bit.
You cut out there a few times.
Oh, sorry. I'll speak up. Speak with my chest. The priest card. I think a lot of people were thinking that it was gonna be like super crazy, and it hasn't seen a ton of play. I still think it's good, but a lot of people
talking about Alucia.
Yeah, the mind reader. People thought she was gonna break the game.
Honestly, I feel like it's still just like anybody that doesn't really know how to play with the card just is not playing with it. Because like I said before, like how I was playing with it and it honestly hurt me more than it helped me. But I think that happened to other people and then they just took it out instead of like actually trying to learn how to play it properly.
This card's hard. Delete.
Pretty much. Did that same thing with Stelina, I would say too, because they're like a 4-mana 4/3. Fuck that. Yeah, thank you. I can run something better, you know. And then instead of trying to be like, okay, do I actually care about getting this effect off? Does it make a difference? Do I just let this happen? Do I bring this with me if I don't know how I'm going to use it? People just cut it.
It turns out that Hearthstone players are boomers and they don't like change. So
yeah, they'd rather just go with the things that they were previously used to that brought them success, and just instead of trying to think creatively to find a new way to actually make the cards good and to learn to play them optimally.
I like this question. What kind of deck does Sphere fit into? And the reason I like that is because I got a lot of questions yesterday about every deck I would play. Like there'd be someone that would be like, no Sphere. Does Spheres fit? Or like they'd send me like a tempo or an aggro list, and it'd be like Sphere in it. So as the card is good, the Sphere is more of a control or combo deck card because it allows you to basically pick and choose which cards you want on turns that you're really looking for, whether it be a combo piece, a removal tool, and like maybe something pressure down. While in a tempo deck, you don't really like it costs a card to play it, so you're losing out on what could be another minion to play or a damage piece. And if your whole deck is minions and damage, you don't really need to find it because that's just what your deck does. But a control deck, there's pieces to be found. Same thing with an OTK deck. So the Sphere doesn't fit in aggro or tempo decks, but it's a good control Highlander maybe and OTK deck card.
Because you know what's great in aggro and tempo decks? Weapons. And
yeah, that's true.
Running an orb is not that kind of weapon. And in fact, it makes it so you can't use weapons. And in an aggro versus aggro matchup, if you're going to be the person who has this as a card in your deck and you drew it and you actually use 1 mana to play it, and you're not on coin, or if you're going first, you just put yourself at a disadvantage because you just floated a mana when your opponent might just use their whole turn to play a better monster than yours. And that's how you lose aggro versus aggro. So yeah, you don't really want it in aggro, even for the other reasons of it just being bad for aggro as well. So
unless you want to try smacking your opponent in the face with a sphere,
I'm gonna do it, but I haven't done it yet. So
no, but I agree that it's primarily like a control card / Highlander card. I think it's so good in Highlander because in Highlander decks you're typically running cards that are for the aggro matchups and cards that are for the control matchups, and you're running one of, so it's even less consistent. And I feel like Sphere just makes Highlander more consistent because you're dodging the cards that you don't want in that certain matchups and in that certain matchup. So maybe if you play a Shadow Word Ruin in your Highlander Priest, and you're playing against an aggro deck, you're never going to want to see that card. So you just put it to the bottom, never have to worry about it again, and you get to something that could help you in the matchup. So I think it's like really good in Highlander. I've been playing it a lot in Highlander Mage. I like it a lot. I actually had it in my Highlander Priest as well, but I just needed the card slot, so I had to take it out. But it could come back in as well. But yeah, Highlander Mages have been the only deck that I've seen it be good in so far.
I think that's a fantastic that I didn't hit on. That it puts it to the bottom. So like you're never gonna need that card in that matchup, right? So you just gave all of your future draws a 0% chance to get a card you don't need.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really good.
Thanks. Yeah, we got a lot of questions in like a span of like 20 seconds before. We can answer like a couple more, I guess.
Do you think it's better to buff cards instead of nerfing cards? No. In fact, buffing cards can arguably be considered kind of pointless because the reason cards are actually nerfed is not even truly because of balance. Even though they're called balance patches, they nerf cards because of community feeling primarily. So like if we hate playing against a class that's not the best class in the game, that deck will get nerfed. Not the best class in the game that's actually really powerful and kicking everyone's butt. If we all dislike losing to Kael'thas, then they will nerf Kael'thas. It really comes down to what people complain about and where the outcry is around. So buffing other cards doesn't fix that problem, and that's the reason they nerf in general.
I mean, I would like to see them buff and nerf cards kind of consistently.
I would prefer both as well.
Yeah.
I think buffing is exciting, but it doesn't fix the problem that is why they nerf cards, is all I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe one more question.
I personally don't mind buffing cards that don't get seen at all and play, but have like nice little friendlies.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past. Like it's like what LOR does.
Yeah. It's like, man, we made this really cool card that no one plays because it kind of just sucks. But if we gave it just a small little tap, it's probably still gonna suck. But maybe people can actually build a meme deck with it and win 40% of the time. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why sometimes
Pocket Galaxy 5. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, let's just do that. Let's see what happens. Minions costing 1. Cool.
Yeah, the fact that they don't touch cards that are like just completely unplayable,
it feels bad.
Yeah, it makes you feel like they don't really care about them at all, and they just want you to really buy the new expansion and just like use new cards only. And I would like it if there's like some kind of balance that I mean, of course,
Rastakhan deserved a buff. That set needed a buff. Like, if anyone this set needed to get buffed, that was one that had so many cards that no one played. And that's not even in the cycle now. I realize that it's rotated out, but that whole entire set could arguably be considered to be like a pretty big waste of money for people. Other than like Shirvala. And,
it was terrible. It was a filler set. It was like an entire season of Animu that was just filler.
That card had one of my favorite cards that was ever printed, just because it was really neat, and then it just wasn't good enough to see play. I liked that Senjin Shieldmaster, the epic that like made it so that whenever cards on its right and left were hit, it took the damage instead of the cards to the right and the left of it.
Yeah.
That card was really cool. And if they buffed something like that, that would have like really changed the meta game, just because of how much positioning would matter in like matchups if people actually played that card.
Yeah, I think that's also why the game feel so stale after like the 3 months or 2 months after the expansions because they don't really change anything. They just leave it until the next expansion. Like they'll nerf some things, but there's no consistent updates, and yeah, I think that's
They've been doing better. I feel
yeah,
like
sure, but
we can be negative on it, but in reality, the development team has been giving us faster updates, more buffs, doing these events in the middle of the seasons, adding random things into stuff. It's been changing more than it has in the past. The meta's been less stale than it has been than it was like 2 years ago. So, kudos to them for that. That's a good thing to be happy about.
No, yeah, it's definitely been better. I mean, I don't know if people remember, but we literally wouldn't hear from Blizzard until about a month before an expansion releases. And then as soon as we'd hear a month straight, they'd just be like, new expansion. Hey, by the way, new expansion. By the way, cards. As soon as the expansion releases, they're gone. Never to be seen. I'll see them in 3 months when the new
Yeah.
expansion gets announced. They were just gone. You didn't even know they were a company. And then 3 month mark. Hey, what's going on? New expansion. Hey, what's going on?
$80. Hello.
$80 pre-order.
Very last question. I just want to address this. If you only had enough dust to craft one new deck, what would it be, or should we wait till lists are refined? Yeah, I feel like if you only have limited dust, then you should wait a little bit and play with whatever you really have. There's still a lot of refining going on every day. It's probably going to be refining for like at least one more week, and then if changes come up, then there's probably going to be a lot more refining. I mean, there's a lot of good decks to choose from. I would say really just go with whatever you want to play. Just pick like a style, whether it's aggro control or mid range, and then yeah, whatever really fits. Like I would just like watch streamers play with it and see if that's something that you want to do. And
I would
hope
say
that it's
if
good.
you're trying to pick something strong, you could pick Paladin, right? Like, and that's probably going to live through a set of nerfs. If you want to make something new and play something, the pure Paladin list feels new, it feels good, and it'll probably live through the first set of nerfs if you're looking for something to play that's new and feeling. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Pick
really
the best
good.
deck. Yeah, just pick the best deck and craft that. Say it's a safe go-to, and if they nerf anything, you get your dust back anyway. So
Yeah, and if you're looking for streamers to watch, I mean, we have Warshack, we have DracoCatt here. If you need some inspiration for something, I got a good array of people right in front of you, and we all have VODs.
VODs.
mine are muted, but I would never ever. Why they're
well, it's only muted in parts, right?
no, it's just gone, dude.
Really? Oh,
The whole thing is gone.
dang.
Most of mine are entirely muted too from like
Wow.
just jamming music on Spotify.
I play music all the time, and mine are like only like partially muted.
It has to deal with your mix a lot as well. Because like a robot mutes it. It's not actually just like a person who's like, oh shit, this is Michael Jackson. We got to make sure Dan's voice doesn't go through. Like it's a robot. So like if your
Yeah.
music is like a couple decibels lower than where like Rob plays his, then it might just silence his whole thing.
Is my music too loud? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't think that's the moral of the story. I think like your mix probably like your mix, you know what I mean? It has to do with your microphone too, like the way how loud you can make your music in comparison to like your voice. So yeah.
All right, I'm turning on my music.
Yeah, I must have hit. I don't know if you want to check out my VODs, Rob. But like only like there's like small portions throughout it that are muted, but most of it you can hear. So that's interesting. I didn't know that you guys had fully muted.
Oh yeah, the thing's gone, dude.
Mine. I've had fully muted ones when I had the music louder. Is what I'm saying. I usually have mine kind of like yours, D-Money, where it only mutes like sections of mine, little tiblets through it. But if have had streams where I like cranked up the music and had a whole bunch of song requests going on the whole time, and then like I cannot hear it. It's all muted. Yeah.
Well, good to know. Yeah, I think that's all we got. We're gonna wrap it up. I thank you guys for joining me here on another meta breaking Sunday.
No, yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks for
We
having
had
us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to
Yeah.
meet anyone new to the podcast from this stream right here. But yeah, have a great rest of your stream, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday.
Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, I want to get your links in chat here. I actually have a command for each of you, so I'm gonna shout you guys out separately. The podcast is usually hosted on the Warshack's channel, but we're trying it out on my channel today. So if you want to check out the Warshack, there's this link right there. And then we do have a shout out for Draco as well, and a Draco impression if you want to click on that video as well. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. If you want to shout out anything, Warshack, before we depart.
No, I'm good. Just thanks for having me. I'm glad we got it worked out. Sorry guys, there's a couple kinks, but like we said, first time on DMoney's channel doing this, and I think overall it went really well. I'm pretty sure he's playing after this, so don't leave, guys. He's gonna be playing Hearthstone soon.
Don't change that channel.
Yeah. You better
Alright,
do
guys.
housekeeping.
See you
I gotta
guys.
see housekeeping.
Housekeeping time. All right.
Peace.
See you guys. Peace.